Hey, how you doing this evening? We're going to be getting started in just a moment. We're going to let some people come on in. So we're going to be getting started in just a quick second. So if y'all can let me know where you're from, that would be great. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia right now. Like I said, we're going to be getting started in a few minutes. We're just going to let some people get registered. Oh, you're in West Palm Beach? Okay, great area. All right, so I'm gonna wait a few more moments, probably another minute or so, then we'll get started. And then tonight we are going to go over some exciting information. One of the things that I've been working on right now is, how can we have a real strong fourth quarter coming up? October 1st is going to be the beginning of the end of the year. So I usually have these, I used to do them once a month, but I kind of took 2 months off. But as we transition going into October, I said, let's make this a strong October, November. So the goal is I want to show you a way to where you can get your first shared living investment property, within the next 60 days. So the goal is for you to be able to generate, at least $2,000 a month and be able to do it within 60 days. So that's what we're going to go over this evening. I'm going to give it probably about another minute or two. Then we're going to go ahead and get started with the presentation. And then the only thing I can ask is you can just hold some of your questions to the end. You can put them in the chat. Okay, you'll be in Atlanta next one. Okay, great. Yeah, make sure you look me up so we can get together. But this is just an exciting time. We're doing some exciting things. We have some new markets that we're working with, some things that I've never even shared with anyone before. But you're in for a treat tonight. So I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here. And let's just have a great time. And then it's going to be very informal. So if you do have some questions, just put them in the chat and then I'll make sure I answer everything. Okay, 7:03, so we'll give a few more moments. But in the meantime, if you do have any questions or if there's anything you want me to be sure to cover, you can go ahead and put that in right now as well. And I'll make sure I cover that this evening. All right, so let's go ahead on and get started. So what I'm going to do is let me share my screen with you. Uh, Bear with me 1 second. Okay, here we go. All right, so tonight we are going to go over how are you going to be able to generate $2,000 within the next 60 days with shared living investing. So I'm going to give you my proven methodology for real estate cash flow, and everything that I do is based off of a system. So we put a system in place, and this system is going to give you an organized way to be able to get the results that you're looking for. Okay. So went back a little too far. Okay. Now with the real estate cash flow system that I put together, it is a way to where you can do this business without having to borrow any money from the bank whatsoever. And let me share with you why that's so important. Right now, in this high interest rate environment, being able to buy properties has become very expensive. Obviously, after the pandemic, interest rates were real low, but they have shot up. And as a result, many people who are renting out properties, they're only generating $200 or maybe $300 a month cash flow, if that. So I want you to imagine this, okay? So let's just imagine you're able to find a $300,000 house that you feel would be great to rent out to bring you in some passive income. Because for a lot of us, being able to retire and have an early retirement is something that we're looking to do for ourselves. Okay. So if it's a $300,000 house, more than likely, if we go to a traditional lender, we have to put down 20%. So 20% of $300,000 is $60,000. Okay. And let's just imagine we have a 4-bedroom house. By the time we rent out that house, if we're doing like a traditional rental, our cash flow may only be $200 to $300 a month. Now, with shared living investing, basically what shared living investing is, it's a way to where you can generate multi-family income with just a single family house. What makes it so remarkable is that each room in your house is treated like an apartment. So it's not necessarily what you think about, where these are just, just a box spring mattress and a nightstand. You can make your rooms really nice. As a matter of fact, the house that I'm in right now, this is a $5.6 million house. We do luxury co-living here at this house, my business partner and I. And then we have another house that's $3 million down the road. So it works with all different price ranges. We have some that are affordable housing. We have some that are more mid-tier, and then we have some luxury houses as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about this, okay? So now, with this same example of this $300,000 house, by treating each room as its own apartment, we should be able to cash flow at least, let's just be conservative. Instead of the 2,000, let's just say $1,500 a month. So after we bring in all of the income from the rents minus the expenses, we will net $1,500 every single month. Now, if we look at what our rate of return is, that's $1,500 a month times 12 months, which is $18,000 a year. If we divide that by our $60,000 investment, that's a 30% return on investment, which is quite remarkable. But let me share with you, utilizing my method, which is the rental arbitrage method, how you're going to be able to supercharge your cash flow. So for $60,000, you're going to be able to acquire 8 houses doing rental arbitrage. If each of those houses is producing $1,500 of income, well, that's $12,000 every month. Now, I want you to think about that. What could you do with an extra $12,000 a month? You can pay down some of your debt. You can maybe maximize the amount that you put into your 401k. Maybe you like doing other type of investments. Maybe you're a stock trader, maybe cryptocurrency. That's going to allow you to have more cash to be able to fund those accounts. You may be able to maybe pay for your kids to go to school. Maybe your parents may be older, they're on fixed incomes. You're able to have the finances to give your parents an allowance. Maybe you want to leave your work altogether. All of these are possibilities. That $12,000 a month is equivalent to $144,000 a year. And this can be done within 12 to 18 months. So tonight, we're going to go over the system that I use to generate massive cash flow fast, okay? The next thing is we're going to talk about is why mortgages can keep you trapped, it can keep you broke, and it's an obligation that you're liable for over 30 years. And then, last but not least, we're going to go over a system that you can repeat over and over and over again to help you create financial independence for yourself. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Idris Talib. I'm known as the Pretty House Guy. I made my mark in real estate. I focus on nice houses and nice areas and good school districts. I used to actually teach people how to invest in pretty houses utilizing creative strategies. As a matter of fact, I've never had a mortgage a day in my life. Everything I did has been with lease options, subject tos, or seller financing. I've been doing this for over 22 years. I've been in finance, I've been in healthcare, I've done some engineering, and then I'm doing real estate full time as well. And what I've done is I've created the shared living profit system. And what it allows you to do is you can have a second chance at early retirement, even if you're just getting started right now. You don't need a real estate license. You don't need experience. Matter of fact, you can even get started without any money at all. So my system is going to allow you, despite where you are financially, you can get started right now with something that's going to put cash flow in your pocket, like I said, within the next 60 days. And my goal is to help professionals have an early chance at retirement. So if you look at the traditional way to be able to acquire real estate, we all know that money can be made in real estate. It can. You know, traditionally speaking, the values of real estate have continued to go up and outpace inflation. And then while you're waiting for the appreciation to hit, you get tax benefits. And at the same time, you're able to get cash flow month in, month out, month in, month out. And that's what makes real estate very attractive. Now, some of the conditions for you to be able to invest in real estate the traditional way is you have to have pretty good credit. You have to have money for a down payment. And then a lot of times you need to have just a good job that cash flows very well so you can qualify for a mortgage unless you saved up a lot of money. So typically when you get ready to go to a lender, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to run your credit. Okay, you have good credit. How much can you put down? If it's not your primary residence, typically it's about 15, 20, 25, 30% down. And we've all seen how high housing prices have gone. So first of all, you got to save up that money. And then you got to buy the house. And then to be able to borrow the money, you got to sign on the dotted line to get a mortgage. And typically that's going to be about 15 or 30 years. So like I said, long term, this is a great strategy. However, for a lot of us, we need income right now. We can't wait 30 years. And that's what I'm going to share with you this evening. What's going on right now in the economy, we have costs that are going up. Our 401ks, they go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. Hopefully, when it's time to retire, we're not going to have another 2008, 2009, but that's not guaranteed. We don't know. And then many of us, we're in what we call that sandwich generation. So basically, we're still providing assistance to children. And then we have those Asian parents who we're providing assistance to as well. So we're right there in the middle. That's why we're called that sandwich generation. So what I want to share with you is a new way to be able to solve a huge problem, which is going to allow us to create financial independence for ourselves. I'm going to share with you how can you, instead of actually owning real estate, control real estate and be able to reap a lot of the rewards without having a lot of the liability. Because that's one of the things I look at as well is, okay, what is the fastest way someone can get started with the least amount of risk? Then this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. One of the great things about it is the type of people that we're going to be housing. Okay. Many of us, we're going to start off addressing the affordable housing crisis. The greatest thing about working with this particular segment in the market is that they're not going anywhere. I don't care what happens in the economy, there's always going to be a demand for safe, clean, affordable housing. It doesn't matter if a Republican is in office. It doesn't matter if a Democrat is in office. It doesn't matter if our economy is doing extremely well or if our economy is hitting rock bottom. People always need somewhere safe, clean, and affordable to stay. And that's what we're going to be able to provide for them. Okay? So my system, I call it the Cashflow system. It's based off of my 4F methodology. So the first methodology is you have one house and you're able to get paid multiple ways because of all of the different rooms that are in the house. My preference is why I tell people start off looking for a 4-bedroom, a house with at least 4 bedrooms. When you have a house, at least 4 bedrooms, and then you're in the right type of neighborhood, you're going to be able to cash flow very well, even with just one person in each room. Some of you, I know you've been used to hearing about 2 people in a room. Yes, you can make a lot of money like that. However, it is kind of difficult in the beginning to convince 2 people to stay in a room together. So I like to run all of my numbers with one person in each room, and we cash flow very well. And then when you are able to get 2 people to a room, look, that's just icing on the cake for yourself. You know, many of us, we've been trained that we have to own something. We always have to own something. And ownership is good. However, it does come with liability. When you own something, you are responsible for something. The thing that most people look at with real estate is the equity buildup. And equity is a way to create a significant amount of wealth. Here's the only problem. You don't control that equity, the bank does. And let me give you an example, okay? Let's just hypothetically say that, let's say that you live in a neighborhood and you live in a nice neighborhood. Your house is worth $400,000. Your next door neighbor's house is worth $400,000. Y'all have the same identical house. Your house is on free and clear. You pay cash for it. You have no mortgage whatsoever. The house next door has been 100% financed. So they borrowed $400,000 and they have a loan for $400,000 for 30 years on their house. Which house is going to appreciate at a faster rate? I want you to think about that. You own yours free and clear. Your next door neighbor is 100% financed. Which one appreciates at a faster rate? Neither one is going to appreciate at a faster rate. Appreciation has nothing to do with the financing. It has to do with comparables. How much of houses sold in your area? Okay. And the reason why paying cash for your house and having all that equity in your house is because once you spend that money, it's trapped in the house. Let me give you a scenario. Let's just imagine that you have a real good job, you have great credit, you've done everything right. You save the money, you pay cash for the house, but unfortunately, you got some bad news. Your mother, unfortunately, her health is taking a turn for the worse, okay? And let's just imagine, I'm just throwing out a scenario. You're here where I live at in Atlanta, Georgia. And let's just say that your mother lives in California. You need to take time off of work to be able to go take care of mom. So you're not working. You've used up a lot of your savings. And now what you're doing is you're starting to max out credit cards and everything. You end up telling your job, I'm not going to be able to come back here. I have to go take care of mom. Now, remember, you're draining your savings, okay? Your credit now has taken a hit because you're starting to get late on some things because you can't afford to pay those. The last place you have money is in your house. Now, you own it free and clear. How much money are you going to be able to pull out of that house? I want you to think about that. It's worth $400,000. You owe $0. You just pay your taxes on it every year. To answer that question, I'm not able to see the comments because I have a screen. If you're putting the comments in, you're not going to be able to get any money off of that house unless you sell it. Let me tell you why. In order to get any money off that house, you're either going to have to refinance it or you're going to have to get a home equity line of credit. Those are loans. What does it take to get a loan? You need to have a job. You need to have good credit. You don't have a job. You don't have the ability to pay back that lender. They're not going to give you that loan. Is that a position of strength or is that a position of weakness? Even though you did everything right, you would have been better off putting that $400,000 somewhere, letting it grow for you, and then taking out a mortgage for $400,000 and making those monthly payments. And we'll talk about that, probably on another session or whatever, okay? And basically what I'm trying to tell you is a mortgage can be a way to where you have an obligation, to pay back that bank. Having all that money trapped in your house is a way to where you don't have access to any money. So I'm going to share with you a way to where you can control real estate and reap the cash flow from that real estate without any of the ownership with it. All right. So in order to do this business model, I've broken things down into 4 F's. Find the best house for this business model. You're going to end up funding the acquisition of it, furnishing it, and then filling it up. That's the 4F methodology. So the first thing you want to do is you want to find a property that makes sense for this business model. I'm going to tell you where I live at in Atlanta, if I'm doing affordable housing, I look for old working class neighborhoods, low crime, no HOAs, near public transportation. Okay. I look for houses that are at least 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. I want them to be $2,000 a month or less. If I find that, I know I will always keep it full at all times. I know that for a fact. If it's 5 or 6 bedrooms, I want to go up to $2,500 a month. If I'm doing stuff luxury, like in the house I'm in, I do a different type of financing for it. So instead of rental arbitrage, I'll do profit sharing. Okay. Now, while I'm finding these houses and everything, matter of fact, I can share my screen. I'm gonna show y'all some stuff as well. The next thing I want to do is start thinking about, okay, I want to fill it up with residents. So I want to start creating my waiting list because that's how you're going to get paid. You need to have people to actually move into your house. My particular market is working professionals. Other people, they may do like a more at-risk population. There's pros and cons. The good thing about the at-risk population, many of them have guaranteed income. The challenge with that population is that their income is limited. Also, they're at home all day. Okay. I prefer people who go to work every single day. The problem when people go to work, they can get fired. Their hours can get cut. So it's pros and cons to each. Okay. The next thing you want to do is make sure that you furnish these places really nice. And what I like to do is I like to make my places so nice they would never be able to afford to stay in a house that nice based off their income. As a result, I'm able to charge more money. Another thing is they stay a lot longer as well. And if you've been following some of my posts, I've been giving you some tips on how you're able to do that. And then the next thing is that's where kind of like the financing comes in, the funding. How are you going to fund that? You can either fund it with rental arbitrage. Basically, you have a master lease with the owner of that house. So you have an agreement. I will rent this house from you for X amount of dollars per month. Okay. Now, let me tell you something that's quite unique though. So, many of us, we think about owning real estate, like having a mortgage, is because we are actually acquiring an asset. And you're absolutely right. When you're renting, you don't own that asset. You don't. But let me tell you something. You still have an asset. The asset is not the real estate though. The asset is the contract between you and the owner of the house. And let me share with you why I say that's an asset. So what is an asset? An asset is something that brings you value. If you use Robert Kiyosaki's definition, wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, cash flow. So by you having that agreement with the owner of the house, you have an agreement that allows you to sublease these rooms. That agreement allows you to create cash flow. And let me give you an example of how this works in the corporate world. Let's just hypothetically say that, let's just say I find the cure for cancer. I'm a scientist. I find the cure for cancer, okay? Now, obviously, I myself, I'm limited to be able to produce the medicine to cure the thousands or millions of people all around the world for cancer, okay? So I've been approached by Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, all of these other pharmaceutical companies. And I'm gonna say, you know what? I have something special. I'm not gonna let them buy me out. But what I will do is allow them, maybe I have a contract and allow them to, I'll utilize them for distribution to be able to package my product, throw their name on it, and then deliver it to their clients and everything. And maybe, and the good thing is I can license it to different pharmaceutical companies. That's how Bill Gates got so rich with Windows. Windows was the operating system on all IBM compatible computers. It was on Compaq. It was on Dell. It was on HP. It was on all these other type of computers. I think ASICs or whatever the name of that computer is. That's how Bill Gates got so rich. It's because he had all these agreements with all these computer manufacturers and everything, okay? Well, by you having a contract with Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and all these other places, you can go to the bank and get money. The bank will look at that contract. They're going to verify that it's a legitimate contract. They will give you money as a result of that. So that contract that you have with Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and all the other pharmaceutical companies is an asset. We have the same thing. And here's the most beautiful part. You're creating that asset out of thin air. You're just getting the owner to allow you to utilize the house that they went out, they put money down for. They're the ones who are on the hook for that mortgage. They qualified for that house. And it's positioning you so you're able to make money off of that house. So why in the world would an owner do that? Because most owners, they don't want to be landlords. They really just want to collect their money month in, month out, month in, month out. Most owners don't get excited about looking for residents, qualifying residents. When the residents don't do what needs to be done, evicting residents, cleaning up their property, fixing up stuff in their property. That's not why most of them own that rental property. They want that. They want for the residents to come in, pay down that mortgage, have the value of the house go up with appreciation, and receive all the tax benefits. That's what they want. And that's where we come in. We're like, look, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, I want to help you create wealth with this house. I will handle every single thing. And in return, I just need for you to give me the right to be able to sublease this house to populations who have money that I'm going to be able to pay you. Does that make sense? And when you start framing it in those ways, many of the owners are like, okay, that makes sense. But you may get some owners who say, well, I can just do that myself. I say, you most surely can, Mr. or Mrs. Landlord. But do you want to? Do you know where to go find these people? Do you know how to screen these people? Do you know how to get them out without having to go through eviction court? Do you know how to put all the rules and stuff in place? Do you know how to collect the money? Do you know how, if they don't pay the money, how to make sure you're still able to get the money? Is that something that you really want to do, Mr. or Mrs. Landlord? Yes, you can do it. And then they say they do it. Say, look, well, I have a system in place, and it's a way for you to make extra money as well, to where I can help you put this system in place. You just pay me a fee, and then you're on to the races. All right, let me go to my, okay. So for us to start to look at the mathematics of all of this or whatever, we want to really, everything that we're talking about now is based off cash flow, okay? And let me tell you why I talk so much about cash flow. Where we are right now in society, many of us, I call them high achieving professionals. You make between $100,000 to $250,000 a year. Have you ever done the math to see how much money do you need to save in your retirement account to be able to retire off of that? If you live by the 4% rule, if you make $100,000 a year, you need to save $2.5 million. If you make $250,000 a year, you need to save $6.25 million. I want you to think about how close are you to that number right now? And I want to ask you a question. Is it easier to create an income stream of $10,000 to $20,000 a month, or save 2.5 to 6.25 million? Which do you think is quicker and easier and more efficient? Because if you could generate 2,000 off one house, it's only going to take you 5 houses to hit that 10,000 a month, which is, around 100,000, 120,000 a year. And you double that to be able to hit that 20,000 a month, which is close to 250. And you can do all of this without having to take out a loan, without having to qualify for a loan. If you're serious, you can do this within 12, 18, 24 months. That's going to save you 20, 30, 40 years. And then you're doing it with a vehicle that's in high demand. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, okay? So the first thing that you want to do is when you look at the cash flow is calculate the potential rental income from residents. Okay. So you go into your particular area, you're going to do your research and figure out, okay, how much cash flow is this house going to be able to produce for me? Okay. And then the next thing that you need to account for are going to be the expenses. Okay. So your expenses, of course, you're going to have to cover the rent for that landlord. You're also going to have Wi-Fi. You're going to have different utilities. You're going to have things of that nature as well. Okay. And then it just becomes a subtraction problem. The revenue minus expenses. That equals profit. And you're obviously going to start to learn your numbers as you go along because it's not going to be filled 100% of the time. There will be some turnover. Okay. So the good thing is when you receive this cash flow, you can utilize this cash flow to move ahead financially. As you see on the screen, you can pay off debt. I did a Facebook Live, it was last week, as a matter of fact, where I was showing someone who came out of college, they had $50,000 in student loans. They had a 7% interest rate, and then it was a 20-year term to pay down that debt. Their payments was $387 every single month. By utilizing shared living, by adding that $2,000, check this out, y'all. Instead of it taking 20 years to pay off that loan, it took 1 year and, if I'm not mistaken, 10 months. So basically it took 2 years. You go from 20 years down to 2 years from one house that you paid rent on. And let's look at another thing that it did was, I can probably find a screen somewhere. It saved them over $36,000 of interest. That initial $50,000 loan that they took out, if they would have been making the minimum payments for 20 years, they would have ended up paying $94,000 on that loan. That's a significant amount of money. And because of one house, and let's think about, okay, what does it take to get a house? Typically a security deposit, first month's rent, and maybe some money to furnish it. And then after that, you're in the money. It's going to take you probably about 3 months to break even. After that, it's just pure profit. And you can use that money to pay down debt. Imagine what that can do for you. And here's the most beautiful part. After they pay down that debt, they're still getting cash flow from that house. They can go attack another debt, or maybe they'll save up some money so they can actually acquire something. There's so many different things that allows you to do. Like it says in the middle, gain more financial freedom. You know, the cash flow from this house, put that into another house. So you only had your cost basis is just initial amount that you put for that first house. You save up enough money, go get you another house, then go get you another house, and you keep it going. And what you're going to find is those houses are going to be able to offset all of your expenses. And now you have financial independence for yourself. So one of the things that I like to share with people is, I just gave you a high level overview of what the concepts are. But the thing is, you want to have a system in place. You want to have a system to where you repeat certain things. It allows you to get the outcome that you're looking for, your desired outcome. And that's what I have with my Shared Living Profits program. You're going to know exactly how do you identify the right type of houses. How do you identify the right type of people who go into these houses? How do you ensure that quality is being met while they're living in these houses? How do you negotiate the best deal for these houses? All of that goes into a system. Where do you market at for these individuals and everything? What do you say to these individuals? How do you overcome the objections that any landlords may have? So these are a lot of things that are inside of the system. And what I want to present to you now, for some of you who may be interested, is I have a 2K and 60-day implementation program that I'm doing right now. I'm taking in 5 people, and we're going to work over the next 60 days. So this isn't going to be anything where you watch a bunch of videos and you try to go out and figure out everything yourself. This is an implementation program. The goal is for you to earn while you learn. You don't need to know every single thing before you get started. It's similar to driving a car. You don't need to know every single thing inside under the hood of your car just to drive it to get from point A to point B. And that's what we're going to do with this program. And the most important thing is we will be working together. You can think of me, yes, I'll be your mentor, coach, whatever you want to call me, like your business partner as well. When we have to call up landlords or whatever, I'll be on the phone with you to call the landlords. That's going to be the fastest way you're going to learn. Some of you are in different areas of the country, you call me on FaceTime. We'll take a look at the house. We'll put together the marketing material. The most important thing, what we're going to do is we're going to establish what are your goals that you have set for yourself. And then every single week, we're going to assess, are you on track to reach your goals? Are you ahead of track or are you behind track? And based off of that, we are going to make the necessary adjustments. How do you put together your system to where you can duplicate this? And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in AI and some automations to do things for you more efficiently. And then you're going to build out your team. Now, once you have that, you have where you're in a position to where you're working on the business, not necessarily in the business. And once you have that, you can grow this to be as large as you like for it to be. Okay. And in the program, what you're going to get is, like I said, my 4F framework. Filling, furnishing, funding, finding the house. It's a proven methodology for shared living profits. You're also going to get the step-by-step coaching. And what that looks like is we will actually be having interaction with each other. You'll be having interaction with all of my students, around the country. It's like a big mastermind because we're all learning things from each other. You'll have access to all the scripts, all the documents, all the contracts, just everything. You'll have the system that's going to help you generate cash flow. You're going to have the different softwares that I use to help run and manage my my business. I have 16 houses here. Okay. You have all the tools, templates. Most importantly, is the accountability. Because I'm going to be real with you. The information is out here to do almost anything. So we're in an information age. You have Google, you have YouTube, you have AI. You can pretty much get information about anything on the planet. But is that a good use of your time? If you get a speeding ticket and you have to go to court, is it a good use of your time to go on ChatGPT or a law library and try to figure out all the general statutes of how you're going to be able to negotiate down your ticket? If your car breaks down, now you may know everything about cars or whatever, but if you don't, is it a good use of your time to learn about a transmission? No. You take it to a certified mechanic who has experience. You take it to an attorney who has experience working with your type of cases. Yes, you can definitely get the information out there. It is out there. If you're feeling sick and something's going on with your body, you can pretty much get a general sense of what's going on. But do you want to operate on yourself? Some stuff you may, if it's a common cold or whatever, just take some NyQuil or whatever and, call it a day. But it could be something more serious. And by following this proven system, it's going to allow you to accelerate your results. And like I said, you have the accountability. That's the most important thing. Okay. So another thing that I'm throwing in for the fast action takers is you could have like a one-on-one, strategy session with me just to kind of really discuss. We're going to discuss two things. What are your short-term goals? How do you want to end 2025? Because at the beginning of the year, basically, most of us had two goals. We're going to get in the best shape of our lives, and this is going to be the best year financially for us. We all had those goals pretty much. Okay. Now, whether you were able to meet those or not, but the thing is, we still have a whole nother quarter. I played basketball and football at NC State. Fourth quarter, we call it as winning time. It's winning time. The first three quarters, they matter, but fourth quarter, that's winning time. Most people during fourth quarter, they're going to take their foot off. They're going to put their foot on the brakes. They're going to start to slow down. Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, you got New Year's. But imagine if you can really ramp this up and build that momentum, you're going to be able to explode going into 2026. And the greatest thing is with this whole 60-day play, by the time the holidays do hit, you are going to be able to kind of sit back and relax and really get everything together because you have that experience to really go into 2026 with some clarity. And then the next thing that we want to do is establish some a little bit more long-term is how can 2026 be the greatest year of your life? What would need to happen for you to be able to achieve the goals that you have set for yourself? And we're going to put numbers behind it. You want to think about if you're living your greatest life, how much money would that cost on a monthly basis? How many houses do we need to go out and get to be able to allow you to afford that lifestyle? Because I'm telling you, it's possible. In my first 9 months, I was able to get 11 houses, was over $27,000. That's reality. I have another student, she did over $25,000 her first year. It can happen. This definitely works when you put in the work, okay? So like I said, we have a proven system and you can learn the methodology to be able to create cash flow for yourself. In terms of what you do for this cash flow, what you do with the cash flow, is totally up to you. So if you want to learn the system I have right here where you can go down here, I'll put it in the chat right here, where you can go down and you can schedule an appointment with me. And then we'll just have a conversation just to make sure we're a good fit for working together. And I'll answer any questions that you may have. And just to recap everything that we went over, because I'm going to answer your questions in a second. Basically, I wanted to share with you a system of how you're going to be able to generate cash flow. I talked about the methodology that we use to ensure that you're going to get the results you're looking for when you follow that process. And most importantly, this is a repeatable system that you can do on and on and on and on again and be able to get the results that you're looking for. Some of the other things that I'm doing as well is I'm doing different type of populations. I'm doing a population. I don't know if y'all remember that show, The Golden Girls. Me and my partner, we're creating Golden Girl houses because they were doing share living. Do y'all remember that show, Living Single? These are professionals. We're going to start housing professionals in different places as well. So these are just some of the different things. So you don't only have to do the at-risk population. And again, if you're really serious about this, let's jump on the phone, let's have a conversation and see how we can work together. And then this right here, this will just lead you to my calendar. And then I only have spots available till Monday, okay? And I'll put that link for y'all. So let me stop sharing and see if there's any questions or whatever. You say you can't see the link. All right. So y'all can put in the chat. Do y'all have any questions about anything that I just went over? So you can't see the link. I'm gonna post it in the comments. See. You know, let me give y'all the short link. All right, so those are links right there in the that I put in the chat. Okay, does anybody have any questions about anything? Okay, so I don't see any questions. If you want to follow me, I'm on all social media. So you can just look up the Pretty House Guy. It's like TH, I'll just put it. So I'm on all social media platforms. All right, anybody got any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions. And I would like to invite y'all to join the school group that I have as well. So you can just put in shared living profits on the school platform and you'll be able to join the group as well. So I'm going to be doing a lot of other things. I'm probably going to go live. Once I finish this, I'll probably go live in that group as well. So if you want to join that, just look up shared living profits. I'll accept you into the group. And then, like, if you have any questions about anything, just feel free to reach out to me. We can have a conversation. And some of you I know, you're in expensive parts of the country, okay? If you're in an expensive part of the country, I have some strategies for you as well. If you're in a position to where finances may be a concern, I have a strategy for you as well, to where you don't have to come out of pocket. So there's a lot of things said. What is the phrase you say to the landlord to get to them agree? So what I do is when I talk to the landlords, I typically find out what is their motive, okay? Like really, what is their motive long term? Give me a second. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna show y'all some stuff. So what I do is I run different type of campaigns, okay? So one of the campaigns I run is for more affordable housing. Other campaigns are more expensive houses. So it just really depends on who I'm targeting. Um, my goal when I talk to a landlord is to figure out how can I meet their needs? Because once I know what their needs are, I know how I can share with them how what I do is going to help fill their need. Most people really they just want cash flow. And that's what we're able to provide for them is cash flow. And the best part about it is we're able to provide them cash flow to where their hands off. That's what most people want if you think about it. That's our value proposition to them. Now it has to make sense though. Like, let me show you this one house. Did I call them up? Well, let's see. Here it is. So this house is $17,500 right here. It's a pretty nice house. I don't think it's worth 17,000 though. So he's going to be coming back from Florida. But these are some of the houses that, we work with. Like this house I'm in right now is much nicer than this house. But it's just a matter of meeting his need. So his thing was he wants cash flow. Let me go to the listing right here. Here it is. It's a riverfront luxury retreat, 77 square feet. Lease and pricing, first month's last month, security deposit, discounted rent. We're paying up front 6 months at $16,000 or 12 months at $15,000. So more than likely, my offer to this person is we're going to be doing profit sharing. I'm not paying anybody $17,000 every single month. He said the house is worth $2 million. It may or may not be. I'm not sure. Okay. Your Calendly link. Okay. Valerie, do you see the link that I dropped? That I can message that to you, Valerie. But actually, so that link that I dropped in the comments up here, the bit.ly link, that's actually the link to my calendar. All right, y'all have any other questions? What I'm going to do, I'll tell y'all what, because I can't see all the names. I just see how many people's up here. Got 3 on YouTube, 4 on Facebook. I just can't see who y'all are. If y'all message me, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send y'all something. If y'all message me either on Facebook, it's because I don't think on YouTube, no, on YouTube, you can't send me a message or whatever. Just find me on Facebook or Instagram or even TikTok, probably Facebook or Instagram. I have something that I'm going to send to all of you as well, just for showing up tonight, that I think you may find very helpful. All right, we got any more questions? Because it's almost 8 o'clock here. All right, so I'm going to get ready to sign off. And again, let me put the link up here for you. Copy this, copy, paste. Okay, so that's how you can schedule where we can talk one-on-one, and then, I can just kind of learn more about your situation. We can go from there. So again, I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. If you need anything, you can always find me on Facebook, Instagram, School Group. I'm everywhere. So y'all have a wonderful evening, and I'll see y'all next time.